If your team isn't actually using the Airtable dashboards you've built, then you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take the steps to build a dashboard in Airtable that people will actually want to use. So if learning more about putting together insightful dashboards is of interest to you, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth and this is Gap Consulting. It's our mission here to help you unlock the full potential of Airtable and no-code tools. In this video, as I said, we're going to be diving into dashboards so that your team can get insightful insights from the data that lives in your Airtable solution to empower them to do their jobs more effectively. But before we get into the heart of the video, I'm first going to invite you to join me for some free training. If you're newer to Airtable, you're going to love the Airtable crash course that I've put together. You can sign up for free to get that training sent to your inbox and grab it at gapconsulting.io/Airtable-crash-course. It's going to teach you all the key building blocks of Airtable so that you can get up and running quickly in the software. But without further ado, let's hop on into my screen and we're going to start here with Airtable's data layer. Now, before you get to actually building anything in an interface, I want to emphasize that you should start at the data layer and answer a few very important questions. The number one question is going to be, what are you actually trying to show people in the dashboard you're going to build? What are a good 3 to 5 questions that they will be able to answer when they go to this dashboard? The next question you need to answer is, who will actually be using this dashboard? For our example, we're going to build it for some imagined sales reps, but you can build dashboards for really anybody in your organization who uses Airtable. They could be operations managers, project managers, sales reps, like our example. So you need to understand what data is that particular role or user looking for so that you can bring it into the dashboard and give them the insights they need. Now, most interfaces fail because they don't actually answer those questions up front. And if you haven't addressed those answers or those questions first, then you're going to build something that might make sense to you as the builder, but not the person who's actually using the dashboard interface themselves. So make sure you put yourself in the position of the end user so that you can give them the insights that they really crave. Another high-level tip is to not put too much data in your dashboard. If you put too much information in there, it will feel overwhelming to your end user, and they're going to be less likely to actually use the dashboard for anything helpful. And lastly, make sure not to make it confusing to the end user. It should be relatively simple, not a lot of clicking. Give them the information they're looking for and put it just on a silver platter for them. Make it as easy to use as possible. Now, let's go ahead and outline our dashboard, and I'm going to leverage AI to do a lot of this building. First, we're going to go over to interfaces. Now that we've addressed who are we building and what are we building for, we're going to go into interfaces and let's go try building it with AI. Now, I want to highlight that AI has to be turned on for your workspace. You don't have to use AI. We're going to use it in this video because it's faster and it's going to get us where we're going a lot more quickly, but you can build this manually. You can go and click through all the different components, and it just might take a little longer, but you can still get the same result. Now, I've already done a brainstorm in my ChatGPT prompts to come up with an outline of what we want to put together. Now here I'm sharing the beginning layout, and we're going to start with these 4 header rows, and they're going to be aggregate numbers or values. We're going to look at the open pipeline value, the weighted pipeline, the deals won this month, and the total won value month to date. Now, is this going to work perfectly? AI sometimes has a couple of hiccups, but we're going to use it to the best of our ability and drop this information into our Airtable AI. So I'm just going to copy and paste that and set it on its path. I made some slight modifications in the text when I pasted it by numbering these, and I've also asked it at the beginning to build the following interface KPIs. So let's see how this shakes out. Again, we could do this manually, but we're going to pause here and let AI do the thinking and see what it's going to do. Okay, so what it's done is it's put together this build plan. This is a newer feature with Airtable's AI where it actually has some conversation with you before it just goes and builds. So it's going to say, all right, here's what you're going to get. You're going to track the total value. You're going to monitor the weighted value, etc. Here's the plan. Build these elements on the dashboard. If this looks right, hit build plan. That looks right. So this may or may not be toggled on for your Airtable account. If you need to talk to the admin to toggle on all the different AI utilities in Airtable, I would suggest doing that. Again, what we're doing here is just giving it permission to build the thing that it outlined. So we converse with the AI, tell it what we want. It spits back some ideas to us. We confirm that that sounds like a plan, and it gets to work. Let's pause here and we'll show you what the AI actually puts together when it's done thinking. All right, that didn't take long at all, just a couple more seconds there that we had to cut out, but here is what it's put together, and this is exactly what I envisioned from the prompt that I spit in there in the first place. So we've got the open pipeline, the weighted pipeline. I don't think that it's quite calculating everything correctly, so we might have to drill into these and take a look at how they have been created or compiled. Let's go back first to our outline here. We wanted the open pipeline to look at the sum amount of the pipeline, and we wanted to filter it for the status of open. So let's go back here. It got the color right, color blue, but you'll notice that we can click on the interface elements. Even though the AI's created them, we can still update them. We can look at the condition here. Status is open. That is correct. We're looking at the amount and we're summing it. So this is perfect. This is the open amount of money in our pipeline, and this looks right. But let's look at that weighted pipeline. We want to sum the weighted amount, and yet the number it was giving us is 34. So I feel like this is definitely off. And this is one of those things with working with AI. We need to double and triple check the work, and most of the time it's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for us, but it might not be perfect. So what are we doing here? Back to our prompt. We want it to be teal. That showed up correctly. We want to filter it for the status to be open. Can we confirm that? Filter to status is open. That is correct. But is it giving us the right information? No. This is a count. It's counting the records that it is filtering. That is not what we want to do. What do we want? To sum the weighted amount. So back here, let's go to summary, and we just need to update this. We're going to find the weighted amount here, and we're going to sum it, and that is fixing that one. Let's flip over to our next one now. How many wins this month? We're counting the one flag. Let's go back here, see what we're doing. We're counting, and what are we looking for? The status is 1. That's about the same thing, right? The one flag is a formula that we put into our system, but this is going to have the same output. It's filtering in anything that has been won, and it's counting them. It does say this month. Of course, all the data we have is for the month of October because it's sampled data. So we might want to also just change this to say 1, and we could bring in filter elements for this so that we could filter in specific dates if we wanted to. So for our purposes, we can leave this as is, but I'm going to get rid of the this month so that it's not misleading, and we'll go with that. Now we've got the one value, our fourth element. We can look here. Total one value, we're summing the amount, and we want to filter for the close month equals current month. Not exactly sure how this is going to work, so let's look at our layout here. We're looking at the amount. Again, we are summing it, which is correct, but we need to look at those filters to make sure that we have filtered correctly. So we're looking for status is 1. Again, I'm not so concerned for our example here about the dates and when it was closed because I like just looking at everything that's 1. So let's just go ahead and look at this. We'll launch this, or first publish it, of course, and let's go ahead and publish interface 1 out. And here we go. So this is our high level beginning, right, to our KPIs. We've got the open pipeline, the weighted pipeline, wins, and the one value. This is all driven by that back-end data, and we have the first component done for our interface. Now let's jump into the next part. back into our AI prompt we go. We've got section 2, which is the pipeline visualization that we want to enable. We've got 2 charts that we've brainstormed here thanks to ChatGPT, and we've got this part highlighted. I'm going to swing on into our Airtable again, and now I'm going to have to, of course, go back to editing the pages because we were looking at the published or finished version of that. Now we want to get Omni's help again so that we don't have to build it all from scratch. So let's open up the AI on the side, and we can either continue with a new chat or go back to the history and just add on to this initial conversation. Either way should be fine. And let's also select the interface itself so that it knows that we want to add to this. So I'll say, let's add to this interface. And I'm going to just copy in 2 charts as I copied them, and I'm pasting them from ChatGPT, and we're going to have our build now analyzed. Now, again, we're going to have that back and forth here with the AI, and I'm noticing that we created 4 different interfaces from our first prompt, which was not the expected outcome. So let's go ahead and hit that build plan. And after the AI is done thinking, we're going to poke into 2, 3, and 4 to see exactly what it's doing here, because I don't know if it is building additional things unnecessarily for us. All right, just a couple more seconds edited out there while AI did its thing. It added these 2 charts, the pipeline value by stage and the open deals by source. You can see here the outline or the information that it shared with us. Let's flip back into our prompt and make sure that we got what we expected. A chart type with horizontal bar with the stage and the sum of the amount. Let's flip back. This is a vertical bar chart. I don't care all that much, but we can flip it to this direction. Again, we wanted to see the stage on one axis, and we wanted to filter for status equals open. So let's see if that is correct. Do we have the filter put in place here? We do not. Let's flip it in here for status is open. And that changed this just a little bit. But you can see that we do have the pipeline value that is getting summed there. And maybe we should be looking at the amount, because the pipeline value is actually a different component. I'll share with you really quickly, if we flip open our data layer, the amount here is the amount of the deal. This is the sales deal. But if we scroll over, you're going to see the weighted amount, which is taking into consideration the probability of it closing and spitting this out. So for our sales CRM, this is helpful if we want to know what the expected value of the pipeline is. But if we want to see the amount that's open in deals, which is more along the lines of what we're trying to build with the pipeline value by stage, then we probably want to rewire this. So let's drill into our pipeline value here. We're going to look at the pipeline value, which is the x-axis bottom, and we're going to look to see what it's actually using, and it is using the amount, which is perfect. This is what we want in our pipeline value by stage. Next, we want to look at our open deals by source. So let's flip over to our prompt again. We are looking at a pie or a donut. We want to look at the count of deals and of course split that up by source and make sure that we've filtered it to only the open deals. So do we have the filter this time? No, this filter is not yet applied. Not too bad. I mean, we still got 90% of it built for us by AI. It's definitely saving us a ton of time. And you can see pretty clearly that we are in fact looking at a count, but we can double check that on the values here. We are looking at a count of things in various stages, and we have now filtered by status to be open. So this is coming together really quickly so far. And again, let's go back to those rules that we established for a dashboard. We said it needs to answer 3 to 5 questions at a glance. It is indeed doing that here. I also want to highlight that we can add filters to the dashboard in general. So you can always select the overall dashboard and start bringing in filter by options. So right here, you can see that we've got it in the tabs elements where we can look at all records or filter in just to the open deals. I prefer normally to bring in the drop downs instead, and we can do things like filter by a specific company, Or we can add things like the different dates, like what is the created date or what is the close date. You can also add things like by owner, so you can just filter down to look at one particular sales rep's deals to see how much they are managing. So I like having these filters because I think it gives a more dynamic dashboard. I'll leave that up to you, but this is just a tip that I have found really useful in my dashboard planning. Now we're going to flip over to ChatGPT one more time to build out the final component of our dashboard. And that is going to be a breakdown of some of the data that is being aggregated at the top. So really quickly, if we flip into our dashboard again, you'll notice that we have at the top some high-level metrics, summaries, things that are summed or averaged and counted at a high level. Then we drill it down with some charts, and below this, I want to include kind of just the underlying data, and we can make it so that it's easily filtered by user. That's exactly what we're going to build in this last piece. We're going to bring in a list of my open deals, and we're going to drop it in right here. So let's get back into this. I'm going to give this prompt, and please add the following list below. Again, let me go ahead and select where I want this to go. I'm just going to pick the overall component, and I'm going to paste in what I grabbed from ChatGPT, and we're going to send it. So once that gets analyzed, we will approve the build plan and see where that gets us. This time it didn't even prompt and ask me if I wanted to approve the build plan. It just went ahead and did it, which is perfect. This is what I wanted to see. Now, one more component that I want to add, though, is the ability for us to filter this by some conditions. So let's make it so that the logged in user is the person who sees the data. So right now, you'll notice that I am me. I'm logged in as myself. And so when I see the deals that are down here, these are the deals that I am assigned to. However, I can also toggle this to preview it as someone else. And you'll notice that as soon as I do that, the deals change. So this allows us to then create a dashboard that has the high-level summed data all here. And then when people log in and they're actually looking at the underlying data, we can make sure that they only have access to the underlying data that's been assigned to them. So in this case, we have a sales CRM. We're tracking the pipeline value of deals, and I might not want my sales reps to see the deals that everyone else is working on, but I do want them to see the aggregated data up here at the top of the whole company or the whole sales department. So using the filters like that, we can make sure that people see the stuff that's relevant for them and only them. You can also enable them to open up the deals so that they can track the information here. Now, obviously, we need a little bit of tweaking here. This was built by AI. We can come in and remove different components of this because this is invalid, but you get the idea. We have a dashboard put together that allows people to see what they need to see at a high level, answer those 3 to 5 questions that we identified at the beginning before we even started building, and then they can drill into the different information line by line and make changes to get more deals over the line. I know I went quickly in this video, but I hope it was helpful for you to put a little bit of a framework to how you can build your next internal dashboard and make sure that it's something that people on your team really want to use. If you got a lot of value from this video, please subscribe to the channel so you get more content like this. Give us a thumbs up to help that algorithm. And if you have questions that I was not able to answer here, swing by our website because we have a ton of resources available for you there. That's it for this one. Good luck implementing this, but most importantly, keep on building.